Good day, everyone, and you are welcome to this channel, Excel Tutorial with Olaniyi. My name is Olaniyi Shofumwa, and in today's tutorial session, we are going to be discussing the sequence function. We are going to look at what is sequence function, what are the syntax for the function, and how can we use the function. If you are new, if this is your first time of hearing about this particular function in Excel, or you have heard of it, but you don't understand how to use it, please, this session, we're going to deep dive, and I believe that you will understand how to use it by at the end of this video. So ensure you watch this video to the end, and I believe that you are going to learn from this video. So if you're ready, I am ready. Let's go. So when we talk about the sequence function, the function allows us to generate a list of sequential numbers in an array. An array can be a table of 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, depending on the table in question. But for this example, we are going to consider a table of 2 columns and a table that talks about the list of fruits. When we talk about a sequential number, in simpler terms, it also means serial number. When we look at this table, in column one, in column one, we have it labeled number 1 to 5, which are the serial number for each of the fruits. That is, serial number 1 is for orange, 2 for mango, 3 for banana, 4 for peach, and 5 for strawberry. The sequence function helps us to generate these numbers automatically without much stress. And that is why this sequence is very useful and very powerful for our use in Microsoft Excel. Now let's look at what are the syntax for the function. The formula of this function is equals sequence rows column start and step. The rows, that is the number of rows that we want to generate. And in this case, when we consider the above table, we have 5 rows of for the list of fruits. The number 1 row, we have 5, though we have 6 rows, but the first row is the heading, so it is not considered. So we have 5 rows for the fruit. And then the column syntax is optional. That is for the number of columns that we want to generate. If we do not state the number of columns, Excel will give a default value as 1. The start, that is the number that we want to start with, is also optional. And the step, that is the increment between each number and the sequence, is also optional. So for the optional syntax, if we omit them in the formula, Microsoft Excel will give a default number as 1. And when we consider the above table, like we say that the number of rows is 5. That is the number of rows for the fruit is 5, 1 to 5. For the columns, we have 1 column. That is the serial number column. That is the column that we want to generate the sequence number. And the start, it starts with number 1, and the step is a step of 1. So that is how we use the formula for the function. Before we go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click on the notification button so that you will be aware once we are about to start another tutorial session. Last item that we have to do today is to consider how to use the sequence function. And this we can see as we continue. You are welcome back. Earlier on, we look at what is a sequence function. We look at the syntax for the function. And now we shall be considering examples and applications where we can use the sequence function. Like we said earlier on, sequence function is a very powerful function that makes our life easier when we are using Microsoft Excel. So in this particular example, we have a list of names of 31 rows, and we would like to generate the sequence number, in other terms, the serial number for these names. And this serial number, the most like a unique identity for each of the name. And as we consider the sequence formula, look at the syntax for the function. So the first one is the rows. And since we are considering 31 rows, so we put the number of rows into it. Like we said, that the columns, the start and the step, they are optional. So for this particular example, we shall not be using them. So invariably, Excel will use the default number as 1. So it's optional for us. So once we just use the row number, our sequence number for this list is generated automatically. We can see that this looks so beautiful and it's quite easier for us to do. Now let's consider another example. But this time around, we want to add a prefix before the sequence number or the serial number, as we desire to call it. We want to add a prefix to it. In prefix, like we want to write it as number 1, number 2, number 3. We can equally do this using the sequence function. And in this example, we have a list of fruits of 20 rows. 20 rows because the first row is our heading, so the list of fruit we have is of 20 rows. So to do this, we put the prefix inside the quotation mark and we write the formula as thus. We write our quotation mark. So in the case we want to use the prefix item with space, we close the quotation mark and we use the and key with our sequence formula. So now that we have a list of fruits of 20 rows, we use that 20, we put the 20, which is the number of rows. And quite easy, our sequence number is generated with a prefix. In case we would like to change the prefix to, for example, we want to change the prefix to another one, we can just change the prefix and our sequence number is generated with the prefix. As we can see that this is quite simple and easy. Even if we have a list of 1000 rows, we just apply the same formula using the number of rows into the sequence formula, and our sequence number will be generated quite easy and very fast. And so we've been able to look at how to use the number of rows. Now consider another example in which you want to use the remaining syntax, that is the start, the step, and the columns. So when we write our sequence function, we want to generate a list of 10 rows. 3 columns to be generated, starting from number 1, and we want it to move in a step of 2. That is, we want it to have 1, 3, 5, 11, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So we use a step of 2, and quite easy. Our sequence number is generated 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and so forth. Because we stated the number of rows to be 10. So let's consider another example now. In this case, we want the number of rows to be 20, and we need for 2 rows. We want to generate this sequence number for 2 rows. Starting from the start number will be 3, and we want it to move in a step of 4. That is 3, 7, 11. So we put a step. For the step syntax, we put 4, and quite easy. Our sequence number is generated. As you can see, 20 rows. When we count this, the number of rows is 20. 2 columns, as you can see, that's 2 columns, starting from 3 and with a step of 4. 3, 7, 11, 15, 19, and so on and so forth. So this is how we can use the sequence function, and we can see that the function is very powerful and very easier for us to use. And we also have different applications or different examples wherein we can use the sequence function. We can use it for dynamic arrays. For example, if we don't have the list generated, we can use so that as we are inputting each row, the sequence number is generated. You can also we have a video. I also have a video on this. You can check my channel for that video. And also we can use this sequence function even to generate our date. One thing that we should take into consideration is that once we know the number of rows, then our sequence function is very easy to use. Lastly, before we go, I would like to inform us that this sequence function is only available in Office 365 and Office 2021. Unfortunately, for those of us that use Office 2019 and below, and we want to perform these same tasks, all hope is not lost. As in those earlier versions, there are other functionalities in Excel that can perform the same tasks. please check my video that I pin into the info card, and where you can see where I explain how we can perform the same task with other functionalities in Excel. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video and learned something from it, don't forget to give a thumbs up. And also, I would like to enjoy you that you can join this. You can also be a part of this tutorial session by subscribing to this channel. And also, don't forget to click on the notification icon so that you'll be aware when we have for the next tutorial session. And if you have any particular function that you are finding difficult to understand or to use in Excel, don't forget to put it in the comment section, and we shall look at it together. Thank you, and see you in the next class.